Hi, this is Mark Jeffrey. I'm standing here with Chris Preuss, who's the CEO of OnStar. Chris, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having us today.
So what'd you bring us here today? What's behind me?
It's 2011 Chevy Volt, much anticipated, much talked about, range extended electric vehicle.
Now, what does that mean, range extended?
Well, you know, one of the biggest issues for EV drivers all along has been, range anxiety. Most batteries that can go into a vehicle can usually give somewhere between 50 to 100 miles of range. Our thesis was to take that concept one step further by letting the car run totally on electric with batteries, but if it runs out, a gasoline engine kicks in, providing electricity to drive the wheels when the batteries can't. So that gives you a range of close to 300 miles, solving the range problem altogether. But
Great.
We get about 25 to 50 miles of pure electric range in this vehicle with a full charge.
How much does this go for?
Okay, this car is going to retail right over $40,000. There's a $7,500 tax credit, and there's also a $350 a month lease deal that we're doing through Chevrolet dealerships. Now, this first year, we're only going to be offering a couple thousand, several thousand for sale here in the initial run for 2011. Then those ramp up very strongly into the 40, 50, 60,000 unit range next year. So hard to get your hands on these right now with the first deals that are out there, but pretty widely available next year. Launching in 4 key states right now: California, New York, Michigan, and Florida.
Now, what is the relationship between OnStar and the Volt?
This was a great test bed for advanced propulsion technologies, but it was an even better test bed for advanced telematics, because one of the great things that's going to be happening right now around connected cars, we all hear about having use of your device in the vehicle and being able to get all your media and thing in the car, and that's important. But really what's happening with embedded telematics, and that's what OnStar is, it's an embedded telematic device that people associate with safety and security. First and foremost, airbags go off, you get help.
What is advanced telematics?
Advanced telematics, right.
Okay, now what is that exactly?
Well, for 15 years, OnStar kind of pioneered this, right? So you have an embedded telematic device in the car that reads the vehicle electronics all the time. So you have 1,600 sensors in the car being read at any one time. The primary use for this is when a crash goes off, we can detect airbags and send a signal to the right emergency responders and get you help anytime you need it. We can also do navigation and send you instructions and do other cool things like post to Facebook. But what we're doing with the Volt is taking that one step further. We're actually using it to go into the smart grid. You're fully able to monitor and set up and take advantage of telematics and doing your charge cycles. So you can work a deal with your utility company, schedule when you want to charge the car, start the car, stop the car, electronically unlock the car. Any access to the vehicle can be done through a smartphone app.
I saw on the site that you guys, there's actually a web interface you can go to where you can program when your car charges.
That's right. It's myvolt.com is what every Volt owner gets, and that takes the best of what you get in the phone app and puts it in the web environment. You can actually program the car remotely from the website. And what's really great, and we think really sort of the cutting edge of where this is all going, is that the neurology that kind of runs the energy grid around smart grid is very similar to what's happening with social media. So actually, we're going to converge your social media accounts with the energy use of your vehicle so that you can be out there socializing with how you're driving, your carbon footprint, competing with your friends, sharing your data. And also we're putting analytics behind that so we can actually start predicting your energy use in the future as a function of your car tweeting.
Sort of like an energy Foursquare.
It's exactly like an energy Foursquare, but what's really great about that is that if I know if your car is tweeting out where you are, I can put pattern recognition behind your driving habits, and then I can schedule your time on the grid of when you're going to get the best optimal charging times. I can start planning your entire month, even your entire year worth of energy use, and give you optimal cost benefit for how you charge the car.
Wow, very impressive.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So how long have you been working together with the Volt folks?
Well, OnStar is part of General Motors, and like I said, we've been around for about 15 years now. Right. And with the Volt team going into the advanced electric vehicle space, we knew smart grid was going to be really the future of where telematics and automotive kind of converge. So we wanted to be as breakthrough on the telematics side as we were on the battery and the propulsion side. And so there's other really cool things that we're going to be doing with the telematics in the vehicle beyond just relating it to smart grid, but with location-based services and very precise, highly intuitive traffic navigation capabilities, all remotely accessed from a device with a lot of analytics behind it to help predict how you're going to drive and use the car. Echo routing, the ability to get you the most efficient, fast way to get there, real-time traffic, using the vehicle as a traffic probe. I mean, there's a ton of stuff in this space.
Now, question for you. Now, you know Jason Calacanis, obviously. Yep. So you know he owns a Tesla.
That's correct.
So I've driven the Tesla.
Yeah.
And very impressive vehicle also.
Set your hair on fire, I hear.
It's really fast. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, he's got a special device in his house that's been installed to charge it. Do you need a special device to charge this car?
We can charge on a 110 outlet, just plugging it into your wall if you have to. 240 volt charger with is a quicker charge, cuts that time in about half. So the charger itself is actually on board the vehicle, and that's how you can schedule and do the smart charging.
Right.
But it'll take anything you got.
But I can plug this into the wall.
You can plug into the wall. It takes you about 10 to 12 hours to get a full charge based on a 110 outlet. A 240 is going to get you going in about 6 hours. So it's, but again, the good thing here is that if you've got a good planning, with the telematics, we'll be able to get you routed to where the charging stations are going to be, get you linked up with the best charging infrastructure before you even leave. That'll be something we develop as we go forward.
So you've got a mobile app for this car. Tell me, what is that like?
Let me explain this. Because you have a perpetual connection to the car through OnStar that's there all the time, you can actually send signals to and from the car when it's stationary parked and nobody's in it. And so one great thing with an electric vehicle is just being able to monitor your state of charge, whether the car is plugged in or not. The car will actually text you if it's not plugged in and alert you to the fact that you might be missing a chance to charge or if something's not right.
So it's like Wi-Fi inside your car.
It is, but with the Wi-Fi, but in this case, a cellular connection to the car, so that you can always have information coming from the car. So on the app, we can look at the battery life. You get 62% battery life, 18 miles of range left. It says plug in to charge. It's giving you your EV miles, 780 EV miles out of 3,000. You can hit a button here. We can actually use it as a remote. You can see this here, but you can lock.
Oh, you can actually just lock the car.
You can lock the car. Now this is not meant to work like a key fob, right? It's because you'd be going to the airport. You see I had to put a PIN code in to do this, but let's say you're late, you can't remember, did I lock the car or not? You can send a signal to it. But what happens with the app sending a signal is the app is actually talking to the back end of OnStar's IT infrastructure. That IT infrastructure then sends the signal to the car so that you can't have anybody hacking into the car using an app or talking directly to it.
So it goes through you. It doesn't go from this to the car.
So what's happening right now is it's sending a signal to OnStar. It's encrypting that data and that information.
So this is on Android, or is it just Android or iPhone?
We do it on Android and iPhone, and we're developing for RIM.
So let's talk. Let's go inside the car and have a look inside, shall we?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, so now we're inside the car itself. So what am I looking at? This looks really space age and Starship.
Yeah, I guess part of the appeal for this type of high-tech car was you needed an environment that was really going to sort of make the best of that and give the appearance of high tech. And so we've tried to do that with how we've done the navigation and the infotainment screen. Start with the center pod here. What you have over, if you can see this, is you get a little ball centered on a circle here, and that gives you basically your optimal driving environment for best echo range. So you want to keep the ball centered as best you can given your accelerator loads.
What is an echo range? I don't know what that is.
Well, basically just trying to keep the car in an optimal efficiency range by how you're using. A lot of the gas we use or a lot of the energy we use in the car is just based on aggressive use of the throttle and the brake and things of that nature. This ball in the center here is a kind of almost like a game. You don't want to fixate on it too much because it'll keep your eyes on the road, but basically it's a way for you to keep the exact right pressure on the accelerator to get the optimal efficiency as a function of your acceleration.
Got it.
And then you have different ranges, and this one you can see already we're averaging over 250 miles per gallon plus, which means we're kind of in the infinite range here because we haven't had to use any gasoline today driving around. Gives you how much gallons.
So wait, you've driven around town today?
Yeah, we've been driving around today. We've used zero gasoline today to get here. You can see that here, zero gas used over the last 6 miles since we left the hotel here. Range of the vehicle is basically expressed in the miles on the charge. That will vary based on the environment you're driving in, depending what the loads on the battery are. What will happen here once this is depleted, and if you've used up all your electric range, it'll switch into an engine mode. You'll get a gasoline read here. And then getting your configurable on the screens that you can do here, so we can kind of vary the different information that we get based on what's happening in the car, different ranges for the information you might want to get, even a tutorial on how to drive the car. This is pretty cool here on the center stack. You see things more sort of, I guess, similar to what you'd see on higher end electronic devices, capacitive touch buttons, no mechanical buttons, where you can just basically touch to get the screens that you wish to get. I think, again, intuitive controls, giving you run through the different screens for navigation, information, destination, different information on where you're driving and getting the optimal routes in there.
Now, question for you on this. Yeah. So I see something like this, and I say, now, why is this better than, say, my iPhone mounted on my dashboard with some sort of app that does a very similar sort of
Yeah, that's a really good question, and basically there's two issues that we're dealing with in the industry relative to devices. One is to get seamless integration of the device, get its connectivity and the media you want to access in the vehicle seamlessly, but we got to do that as a function of distracted driving, right? So anytime you've got that device sitting up in the screen, that's taking your eyes off the road to some degree. And so we try to do with the driving environment in our vehicles in terms of what's in the HMI or in the user interface for the vehicle is to give the information most relevant for you at that moment. There's no question that smart devices like iPhones and things bring a measure of connectivity in the car that people are going to use, and some people might even prefer. In the vehicle environment we have here, you're just getting a lot more information because these computers are tied to the actual vehicle electronic bus. So you're getting information directly from the vehicle that would be relevant to where you're going versus just a decoupled navigation capability like you'd have.
Now, one of the things I read online that sounded really awesome to me, and I actually did not know this about your service, is you've got the integrated, if the car gets stolen.
Yeah,
you can basically, if you're in pursuit, you can make it slow down.
That's right. The vehicle recovery mode. So if we've got a high-speed chase going on, the police contact OnStar, we can actually slow the vehicle down to a stop and decouple the power from the engine. The car also has the ability, once it's been stolen, we can actually kill the ignition. The car loses the ability to start. We disable the electronics in the car remotely, so the car can't be started. Obviously, it doesn't help you if they're parting down the car as you speak, but 80+% of stolen cars are eventually recovered. And with the GPS location of OnStar, we're able to do that pretty efficiently. So,
great. Well, we should probably take it for a little drive around and see what the acceleration's like.
Cool. You want to get in and drive it? You're probably better when you drive than me.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Okay, I'm Mark Jeffrey, and I'm driving an electric car. Oh, I can't even hear it. It's completely silent. So far it feels very Tesla-ish. It's got that same sort of...
Oh yeah, they feel the torque of the electric motors right away. So
yeah, it's very different. When the acceleration, like, it just feels... I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels very different. It's very... yeah.
See our energy flows here as we...
So that's the actual operation.
Yeah, the actual. So
that's cool.
You'll see the regen braking. So that in any new technology car, disco graphics are very much needed. So
yes, it's very disco. I like it. Future disco. You know what's really interesting is, so again, I hate to keep bringing up the Tesla, but that's my only frame of reference in a similar vehicle. So when I hit the acceleration, I noticed in the Tesla, it feels strange. It feels different from a regular car.
Sure it does.
Which is both good and bad, because it's very, if you're used to driving a regular gas-only automobile, it throws you off, and it doesn't feel the same.
Well, and you have
this feels more natural. This feels more like a, you know what I mean?
It's all the electronics tuning of what you want, but I mean, you get that instantaneous torque from an electric motor, and so you get it right away, and you get it in big droves. We spent a lot of time trying to refine the actual driving experience on this so that it was unique and impressive, but at the same time there was some familiarity. So throttle tip-in and the way the car reacts, braking and things. The regen braking is a different experience for people when they feel the car actually being slowed down by the electric motors to recapture that electric energy.
That was the thing that threw me off on the Tesla. It was actually a little scary because I drove it on the freeway.
Yeah, you got to get the braking pressures, because usually the braking's pretty linear to a point, then it'll really start to clutch down, and if you're not ready for that, it kind of surprises you. But again, it's like anything. Once you get used to it, you calibrate yourself pretty quickly to it, and it becomes intuitive when you first get into it. But I think one of the philosophical issues you have to go through when you create cars like this is how familiar does it need to be mass market and appeal, but at the same time meet the accomplishment of what you want in terms of energy efficiency.
So how many of these are there in the world right now?
I think, yeah, we've built several hundred actually. Line speed's starting to ramp up. We've got a couple hundred that are in the company test fleet, plus the media fleet, where we're getting the cars kind of out there. We're actually using OnStar to acquire a lot of immediate data from the vehicles. OnStar has the ability, we can, through the telematic device, remote reflash the control modules in these vehicles. So we've been doing constant software upgrades and software tweaking as we get driver inputs in the fleet. First time ever that we've been able to reflash a car remotely anywhere in the industry. So
now, reflash a car, that means
you can actually reload the operating system on the computers in the vehicle, or reload the performance parameters, and change driving style or fix errors or things that come up as you accumulate test miles on the vehicle.
Yeah, so while we're at rest here, one other thing that's really cool is I noticed that the keys are right here.
That's right.
So there's no like place to put the keys here. You power it up by hitting the power button.
Right, and as long as the key fob's on your person or in the car, it'll do that. It's really cool too, is when you walk up to the car, you just have to pull on the door handles to get it to unlock. You don't have to hit any buttons or anything as long as the key fob's in your pocket.
That's amazing. This is great. It's like a big iPhone that I drive around.
And you get attention in these too. People know it when they see it.
Well, they do, especially when they had sort of futuristic whine when the car goes by. I'm not going fast enough for you to hear it right now, but I've caught glimpses of it while you guys were pulling up today.
Well, that's the other big debate in the industry around electric vehicles is what sort of sound should it emanate for people who cannot see, people who are blind, being near the car so they're not taken by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, if this were sneaking up on me, I'd have no idea it was here. I guess it would be strange to like make an artificial engine noise just because you feel like you have to, so that for safety reasons.
Well, there's been a lot. Again, telematically, we'd love to be able to download your chosen sound scheme into the vehicle.
Almost like a ringtone.
Be driving a Ferrari Maranello one day, a Corvette ZR1 the next. Or
no, that would be cool.
This vehicle, what's unique in this compared to some of the other EVs out there, particularly the Leaf, is that the entire battery pack is thermally controlled. So it's got its own heating and cooling system to keep the chemistry as balanced as possible and to get the optimal range out of the batteries. We've designed the battery life in this to last over 10 years and still deliver the same range, which basically means you've had to over-engineer the capacity of the batteries. So you're never depleting more than 65-70% of the total battery capacity in any one charge cycle. So you can see over on your driver information center in the upper left icon, you got 312 miles of total range available to you right now.
That's fantastic. So before I hit the gas at all.
Exactly. So
That's incredible.
you get 20 miles of pure electric, and then you'd have the electric range extender take over.
Yep.
Until you got to charging. But even, I drive 60 miles a day pretty typically, and you'll get about 30 to 40 miles an average charge. So even with the gas I use, I still end up averaging well over 70, 80 miles a gallon for the day.
There we go. There's that
There we go.
futuristic whine, like Blade Runner kind of sound. Doesn't fly yet though, which is still disappointing, I have to say. But other than that,
we're getting there.
So there you have it, the Chevy Volt, the latest in electric car technology. Chris, thanks so much for
thanks for having us today.
coming and showing
us. Fun.
Thank you. Mark Jeffrey, we'll see you next time.